How's it going, guys, and welcome to the Minute Channel. So today we're going to be talking about something that I had a couple of you guys request me to talk about. So I had a few questions, or some people have approached me about this. So let's go ahead and kind of just jump right into it. I'll describe and talk about a couple of different mechanics that you see in the game and kind of how they function. I know the game doesn't really do any kind of explanations or a lot of this, and it kind of just throws them at you. Unlike other Persona games, where it kind of like breaks them down and takes you kind of stuff. Personally, I like the sense of discovery and kind of finding out how they work and everything like that. Understandably so, not everybody is like me, and some people just like to know how they work. That way they can plan accordingly. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it with the first one, which is gonna be the one in the corner onto the left, which is the what is called as the Kagutsuchi, I believe, if I'm saying that correctly. And it's that moon looking thing in the corner here. Now, this is a thing that has been in the Shin Megami Tensei series for some time. Some Shin Megami Tensei have it, some don't. It works in a similar pattern to what a calendar world, or if you want to call it a counter, really. So the Kagutsuchi in the game, I'm not going to give you guys the background of it because it's more complicated and it is kind of spoilery. But basically, at the beginning of the game, you see the end of the world and you see this massive sun looking thing on top of the world, right? You saw it is massive, it's big, it's blue, and it has like this shiny stuff and everything like that. So I'm sure they've seen that already. So that's the Kagutsuchi. That's the thing that we're talking about. And this thing basically works something like in between a moon and a sun. You see the 7, 8 right now because it does have a counter from 0 all the way to 8, and then it restarts. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually use this to your advantage. For example, there's certain skills that use things like that. For example, it says lights up dark areas until a new Kagutsuchi. So pay attention to the when you use these things, because sometimes if you use them the wrong time, what will happen is you will end up using it at the wrong time. For example, you see right there it says raises encounter rate until the new Katsushi. Now, if I use this right now, it will be a really bad time because I only have two Kagutsuchi left. I got 7 and 8. That means that it's not gonna have a full length. That's actually pretty important to know. And for a long time, I just wonder why sometimes my items wouldn't last as long. And that's because of that. I was using the Kagutsuchi at the wrong time, and I was just wasting the item basically. For example, we'll do it for the sake of it. I'm not gonna save this file or anything, but I use it right now. And basically, from now on until later, the enemies will approach me faster, harder. So we're just gonna walk around and everything, and you see the counter going down and everything. Obviously, we got the attack and everything. So another thing that this does is the Kagutsuchi also has two separate things that it also does. One is it basically works in a similar manner to other features like in Mementos, for example, Persona 5, where if there is something going on with the Kagutsuchi, things like recruiting, asking for items, things like of that nature actually get affected by that. For example, if the Kagutsuchi is a full flare, a full moon, whatever you want to call it, it basically doesn't allow you to recruit certain demons because of certain races and stuff, which again is interesting and stuff. So, for example, we'll just kind of talk about this one and everything. But yeah, it's a really interesting feature. I actually quite like the way that they approach that because of the way that the game is created and everything. But yeah, so my main thing is make sure that you use Kagutsuchi correctly so you can kind of enjoy that and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the next feature, which is on the other corner on the right over here. You do see the press turn system. Now the press turn system is something that a lot of Shin Megami Tensei games use, but the first game to use it is this game, Shin Megami Tensei 6. I'm sorry, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. I'm sorry about that. So you see in the corner, I have 4 characters. Obviously, I already used a turn by pressing auto, but it's just as simple as that. As long as you hit the weakness or a some kind of strength attack, then you will definitely be able to utilize it, another attack and so on. It's very similar to the way that Persona uses the one more kind of thing, or when you hear the weakness and it kind of just allows you to get an extra turn and everything. The press turn setting, however, in this game can be unforgiven because the enemy, everything that you use from the simple things all the way to the uh, more harder things, the enemy can also use the same attacks. So if you're not careful, the enemy can do that. For example, if you miss an attack, it will take away two of your press turn. I don't know what you call the counters over there. For example, that one hit a weakness, we hit it at the end of the counter, so it doesn't really do that again. For example, but if I were to hit, for example, a critical, you see that now that it's sparking or something like that. It's shining, flashing, whatever you want to call it, and that allows me for an extra half turn. So the half turn is, it's an additional attack, additional something, but sometimes you can use it. For example, if you see that I'm not able to hit this weakness, you can pass it to the next enemy, and it just goes straight along. This is a lot of features that actually the game does a pretty good job as far as like getting you set up with. For example, now I have two half turns, which is awesome. And then I can probably try to just see if we can get a critical, which we did. Now we had three extra turns, so that would have allowed us to do a lot more combinations. Again, it can be pretty unforgiving at times because the boss battles, for example, the bosses, every single enemy, whether it's a boss or somebody, the enemy is also able to use those, which again can turn into a little bit of a mess if you're not careful or you don't pay attention or anything. It can turn pretty bad. So it does need you to kind of pay more attention and kind of know what's going on and everything. I am very high level, so I'm going to have any issues through this playthrough or anything like that. But I do think that it's important for people to kind of know what's up and everything because again, it is pretty important and it is a feature that is used quite a bit in the game. So definitely make sure that you learn those kind of stuff. It can save your butt in certain bosses, especially like if you need to do certain things. Or like, man, like should I do this? Should I do that? Should I attack with this one? You can also see whenever you see certain attacks, there is a thing that tells you whether the attack is what the critical rate of it is, or like whether you could actually have a rate of hitting, a chance to hit it and everything. So there's all kinds of different stuff that you can try to do with it. My advice would be just really pay attention and know your skills, know your attacks and everything, so you can really get the best out of your experience, really get the best out of everything that is going on in the game and everything. So the next thing that I want to talk about is going to be regarding the Magatama and some of the pretty interesting skills that you can get from that. So the Magatama is the system that the game uses to teach you skills. There are different insect or bugs, I guess, that the Lemifin can eat. So the person is obviously the one that you get at the beginning of the game. As you see, there are different skills and different modifiers that you can use for the different how do you call those? The different stats. Those are for two reasons. One is you can get additional bonuses from them. For example, some will give you additional points, like in strength, additional extra besides these ones and everything. Obviously, you can get skills from them and everything. My advice will be get as many as you can, but also like really try to learn at least a few of them. There are some that are really, really interesting and they actually can actually help you a whole lot. For example, even if you don't use something like magic or something or strength, you still should probably learn some of this stuff. Not every single thing that you learn is it's a skill. So I'm sorry, it's an attack skill. A lot of them are passive skills. Some of them are different. Like this one here, which is support magic. Some of them in here that hidden some support magic stuff and everything. So there are different scenarios. You can use them for your advantage. For example, when you go and fight one of the early bosses, which is Matador. Matador is strong against force, which is one of the things they do. But all his attacks that he does here is full force. So if you have this Magatama and you equip it to him, which is Hifumi, it's gonna nullify the force attacks. It makes the fight with Matador like way easier than it's supposed to be, because now the majority of the attacks that Matador uses are gonna be nullified. So things like that. It's just really a matter of kind of like knowing your strategies. Every single or one of the things that I love about this game is most of the enemies have one strength and weaknesses. It can be something like this, it can be mind attacks, it can be all this kind of different stuff. It's really just a matter of like knowing the enemy. Like if you're dying against an enemy, check what their weaknesses and their strengths are. You can definitely look into that. You can use this different Magatama for your benefit. Collect everything you can. Each shop is gonna have a few of them, like two or three of them. Some of you can trade them for crystals or that kind of stuff. So definitely go through them. It's gonna definitely benefit you some kind of way. Overall, it's just really interesting. But I really love the way they did this, because it really does make you think and strategize for the future and for the present. You know that you can always flip between all of these. Like you can, for example, I completed this one, but I can still flip through it. Like if I need it for a boss battle that does mind attacks, I can use this one to nullify all the mind attacks. If I'm gonna fight a boss that uses dark attacks, for example, then I can use this one and it's gonna nullify the dark attacks. It's really just a matter of really trying to learn what the boss's strengths and abilities are, so they can help you defeat the next enemy and so on. So, strongly recommend you getting as much of them as you can. That's gonna help you kind of be more flexible with your attacks and with what you want to do and everything. So that is pretty much in this video here, guys. Just three different gameplay scenarios here to look at, different things that I've seen some people kind of hit me up and ask me about it. One last thing, I guess, if you want to talk about this final thing, which is regarding the stats. A lot of people have specific stats they're looking for. Or stats they think, oh, which one should I do? Should I do strength or magic or a balanced build or something like that? There are definitely different kinds of builds that people make. The two bigger ones are gonna be strength and magic. I personally recommend you do whatever works for you. It isn't a cut dry, like you should do magic is the best or strength is the best. There's different scenarios where different bosses are strong to or nullify like attacks. There are bosses that nullify specific magic attacks. So really just knowing your enemy is the best clue to kind of how to build your character. Personally, I like to go for a strength build or a magic build. You dump pretty much everything into strength, and then vitality is important here because your attacks use health, and then obviously you want agility so you don't get hit. So that's kind of my go-to and everything. But everybody has their own different builds, their own different things that they go for. It's not a really cut dry scenario. To me, it's really just like look at the big picture. Look at what you want to build. Each build is differently, but it's also fun. None of them are really bad or anything like that. I think it's just a matter of perspective and what you like. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys. Please drop a comment below if you have any questions about any of the things that I talk about. If anything wasn't clear, if you have any other questions or anything, I'm here to answer any questions to help you guys out. Have fun with the game. If you come up with anything else, again, this video is because I've seen some people ask me more questions about things that I had in the game and everything, so that's why I made this video. But definitely let me know if you have anything, okay? Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.